Your turn, you ready?
Let's bake some bacon, bud.
You will kill. The German Halberd. Used by Swiss armies during the medieval era, the halberd was a versatile and lethal weapon of war. A combination of spike, hook, and axe, it was a triple threat. Foot soldiers would defend themselves against knights on horseback by using its back hook to catch and dismount their opponents, and then move in for the kill using the spear point to thrust, or the axe to slice through armor. An infamous killer, King Charles the Bold, the Duke of Burgundy, met his fate when his head was halved by a halberd, ending the Burgundian Wars in 1477.
To see what kind of lethal damage your halberd will do, we'll take your halberd and deliver thrust, hacks, and attempt to dismount that dummy with its hook. Phil, you up first. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right, Phil, your spear tip is sharp, not only at the point, but its edges also. Your axe head, not only did it dig in and break the ribs, it went in and cut the internal organs that were behind the ribs. And your hook blade, it dug into the ribs and dismounted the dummy from the horse. Overall, your weapon here will kill.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, Jonathan, you're up next. You ready?
Let's do it. My halberd's a brute. I'm excited to hear Doug tell me it'll kill. That'll make my son happy. I want to see some blood and gore and guts.
All right, Jonathan, on the thrust, your spear tip right here penetrated deep and created a deep wound channel. Your axe head here, pretty much it was just the tip that penetrated into the chest and also into the diaphragm. Your hook broke the ribs, got into the organs, and dismounted the whole dummy from the horse. The most important thing about this whole thing is it will kill. All right, bladesmiths, next up is a strength test. Ben?
To test the strength and durability of your halberds, I'll be chopping into this corrugated sheet steel. Remember, this test is all about what the steel does to your halberds and not what your halberds do to the steel. Phil, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, Phil, your halberd held up perfectly. All of the faces on it are still razor sharp. There's no deformation that I can see. Overall, very well done.
Thank you.
Jonathan, you're up. You ready?
Get you some.
Well, Jonathan, on the hits, your edges held up pretty well. I don't see any problems with them. The one thing that does concern me is the blade's taken a bit of a bend to one side here. But the edges and the point seem to have done pretty well in the penetration. The whole thing held up, still solid. Well done. Up next is the sharpness test, and for that, I give you to Dave.
All right, bladesmiths, to test the sharpness of your blades, I'll be cutting through these fish using both the blade and the tip of your halberds. Now, a good sharp blade should cut through those fish nice and clean. Phil, you ready?
Go for it.
All right, the cuts look very clean. They're just nice slices. I really like the design of this weapon. The handle feels good. It's got some heft to it, but it's balanced nicely. But most off, it's definitely a sharp weapon. You built a cutter. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Jonathan, you ready?
Always. Phil's blade performed pretty good in the fish test. I didn't know we were gonna cut fish with it. I'm sweating the geometry.
All right, Jonathan, you went with actually trying to forge this all out of one piece, which I appreciate. It's just there's still a lot of that weight here. The socket's very, very thick. It's covered, but you can feel the edge of it. The shape, you see that historically quite a bit, but for this test, it's a little harder to find the sweet spot on that shape. With that tip being knocked out of alignment a little bit, harder to target, harder to index, but it's a good cutter. Nicely done.
Phil, Jonathan, you've both done some amazing work on your German halberds, and they performed very well in our weapons tests. However, in this arena of competition, only the best weapon can win. And our next Forged in Fire champion is... Phil. Congratulations, you are our new Forged in Fire champion. Jonathan, unfortunately, your weapon did not make the cut. Please surrender your weapon. Phil, congratulations. You are our new Forged in Fire champion, and that's a title that comes with a check for $10,000. Good job. Is all the hard work worth it?
The hard work was worth it. I'm very pleased to have been here. It was wonderful.
Well, Phil, please present your weapon to the judges.
With pleasure. Philip Baldwin won, and Philip Baldwin feels very good about winning. I would not have missed the experience of appearing on Forged in Fire for anything in the world. I met some really fine people I would have never met in any other circumstances. And I really thank my fellow competitors for being here.
The German Longsword.
The German longsword traces its roots back to 14th century Europe. This two-handed weapon was powerful enough to deliver deadly blows, and its double-edged blade inflict deep wounds and slashes against any enemy that came across its path. The massive blade was so powerful that skilled warriors had to train extensively in the art of longsword fencing to master its strength. While this weapon was no longer used in combat, longsword fencing is practiced around the world today.
Young Forged in Fire champions, welcome to the Kiel test. To find out what kind of lethal damage your German longswords will do, I'm going to take your weapon and deliver some lethal blows on this pig carcass. Colton, you're first. Ready for this?
Do it.
All right, Colton, let's talk about your German longsword. Every slice was a very deep slice. Overall, the balance, the feel of your sword, it will kill. Kevin, your turn. You ready?
You know it.
All right, Kevin, those are very deep cuts. Almost got through the pig in the first strike. Now, earlier, prior to this, you had a little bend at the tip, but it didn't get any worse. Overall, your weapon, sir, it will kill.
Thank you very much. Doug almost went through my pig on the first slice. I was really kind of, yeah. But it was not quite enough to distract him from the warp in the sword, so he did end up noticing that, and, you know, that could be what sends me home.
Bladesmiths, welcome to the strength test, the Throne Chop. In order to test the strength of your edge as well as the overall construction of your German longswords, I'll be bashing them into this throne. Colton, you're up first. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. All right, Colton, this is it's a great looking blade, man. I like your Damascus pattern. It's still nice and straight. Didn't take much damage beyond a slight glinting. So, well done.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, you're up, man. You ready?
You know it.
All right. right, Kevin. Well, your sword is all in one piece. Again, the slightest of glinting on the edge from contact with the wood, but nothing I would call damage. You had a slight warp to it coming in. That hasn't changed. It's the same. All in all, you know, I think you did a good job on your grinds. The weight is good, and it held up great in the strength test. Nice job.
Thank you very much.
All right, young guns. This is the sharpness test, the cowhide bag slice. Colton, you're up first. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right, Colton, your edge cuts cleanly. It's razor sharp. In thrusting, drawing it back, and cutting. The balance is good. And overall, sir, it will cut.
Thank you.
Kevin, your turn. You ready?
You know it.
Let's do this. All right, Kevin, your edge, razor sharp. It cut cleanly all through the bags, and overall, your weapon, you will cut.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, throughout this competition, you both have amazed us tremendously. But as you know, only one of you can go home with the win. The judges have talked it over, and they made a final decision. The Bladesmith going home with a check for $10,000 and his second Forged in Fire champion title is... Colton, congratulations. Kevin, you fought hard and you brought us a beautiful blade, but unfortunately, your time in this competition has ended. I'm gonna have to ask you to please step off the forge floor.
Peace. It turns out that I am not going to be the two-time youngest champion, but losing to Colton, he's an amazing smith, does amazing work, and I'm glad it was him and not somebody else.
Well, Colton, that means you are the youngest two-time Forged in Fire champion, and you got yourself another check for $10,000. Congratulations.
Being the youngest two-time Forged in Fire champion feels amazing. I mean, this is probably one of the closest competitions that I have seen, and to come out on top, it just feels great.
Really, really well done.
My name is Colton Arias, and I'm the youngest two-time Forged in Fire champion.
The Zweihander. The Zweihander, which means two-hander in German, was a massive sword wielded by Swiss and German mercenary armies in the 16th century. Sometimes stretching to over 6 feet in length, the Zweihander was a longsword featuring an extended grip and broad guard. As European armies employed more pikes and polearms on the battlefield, the Zweihander emerged as a counterweapon. This enormous sword was used to break up pike formations by cutting spear ends and opening up holes in enemy lines. Due to its size, the Zweihander was only wielded by the biggest and most audacious soldiers. If these soldiers survived charges into enemy spears, they would often be paid double for their substantial risk. The Zweihander eventually faded from the battlefield, but survives today in games such as Dark Souls. Your Zweihanders are big, so we came to a big open space to test them. Up first, the sharpness test. Dave?
Now, the Zweihander was known as a weapon of intimidation. To test the sharpness of your edge, I'm going to cut into this bundle of sugarcane twice, once with either side. Jay, you're up first. Are you ready?
Ready as I'm ever gonna be.
It's got a lot of weight to it, but obviously it's plenty sharp. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, Steven, you're up. Are you ready?
Can't wait. Jay's weapon did really well cutting through the sugar canes. I'm not nervous about mine, but, you know, I don't know if it's gonna cut better than his. His cut real strong.
It's light, it's easy to wield. That guard, it's almost where it's into you when you're swinging it. You can see it cut deep and clean. It looks like the blade held it beautifully. So nice job.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, the Zweihander was a weapon of war. Big weapon, big damage. I will take your weapon and deliver killing blows on this ballistic dummy. Let's see how much damage your weapon can do. Jay, you're up first. You ready?
Go for it.
Let's do this. It is a heavy weight, and it's harder to manipulate with multiple blows. But on the thrust, I was able to go in one side and all the way on the opposite side of the dummy. This, sir, will kill.
Thank you.
Steven, you're up next. You ready?
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
That was brutal.
Okay, Steve, the edge of your sword is sharp enough to lacerate all the way into the ribs. And on the power strike, that would disembowel and ruin this person.
That's the idea.
This sword will kill. Good job.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this is the strength test. Now, the Zweihander was often used against pike formations. So I'm gonna take your Zweihanders and go against a rack of pikes here, 5 times with each of your blades. See how far I can break through. Jay, you're up. Are you ready?
Ready.
So after 2 tests, Steven and I are pretty neck and neck. So I feel pretty nervous because this next test should really determine who's gonna take home the prize.
Wow. When you start swinging this thing, it moves things out of its way. I don't see any damage to your edge. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, Steve, you're up.
Do it.
Okay. Obviously, it's a good cutter. It actually bit into that wood and split that right down the middle. Very easy to wield because of its light weight. But I think we've bent just a little bit. It's bent in 2 directions. And there is a crack now developing in the handle.
Gentlemen, we've got a lot to discuss. We'll see you back at the forge.
I'm concerned. I had a warp in my blade, so I don't know who's gonna end up with the win.
Bladesmiths, the judges have made their final decision. It's time to declare one of you the Forged in Fire champion. Jay, congratulations. Stephen, unfortunately, your sword did not make the cut. Please surrender your weapon.
I'm disappointed. I really wanted to win, but that's okay. I love being at the forge. It's hot, it's dirty, you'll smell funny, but it is so rewarding.
Jay, congratulations. You are the Forged in Fire champion. Good job.
Thank you.
How you feel right now?
I feel like my heart's about to burst out of my chest, but
Well, it's the heaviest weapon I've ever had to wield in this competition. Very well balanced and a powerful weapon, too.
thank you.
In the way you built your handle, that tells me a lot about the way that you make things. The wood is fitted on and then wrapped with leather with these reinforcing pieces underneath. That's the proper way to construct it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Jay, in exchange for that sword and those socks, and we'll be receiving that check for $10,000.
When they announced that I was the winner, it felt really good. I had people tell me, you know, you're good at what you do, but I always have this kind of self-doubt to make it all the way to the end and be the champion. I'm so happy.
the Landsknecht Sword. Created by Emperor Maximilian I in the 15th century, the Landsknechts were a deadly mercenary force armed with pikes, swords, and crossbows. The most battle-proven Landsknecht mercenaries were armed with massive two-handed swords. These imposing blades featured parrying lugs above the guard to deflect enemy attacks. Earning double the pay of their peers, these garishly dressed swordsmen of fortune would rush headlong into enemy pikes in an effort to disrupt their opponent's formations. Today, you can see the Landsknecht Sword in the hit mobile strategy game Dominations.
Bladesmiths, the two-handed German Landsknecht Swords. A big sword, so we're expecting big damage. I will take your sword and deliver slashes, thrusts, and chops on this wild boar carcass. Todd, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's do this. All right, Todd. First up, your handle construction. It's comfortable to hold on to. You have a very thick and wide and stout edge, so it's a chopper, not a slicer. The big issue I have with this is that it's a heavy sword. But despite its weight, it will kill. Yes. All right, DJ, it's your turn. You ready?
Yep.
DJ, let's talk about your sword here. It's even heavier than the other sword. The tip you have over here is wide. The first thrust went in, the second one couldn't, and I tried. The one thing it did was break its back. A thrust like that and a broken back like that will kill.
All right.
All right, gentlemen, it's time for the strength test. To test the overall construction of your blade, I'll be both stabbing and chopping into the steel plate. All right, Todd, you're up first. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, Todd, you took some pretty good rolls. These rolls are fairly deep, but it held up. Nicely done. All right, DJ, you ready for this?
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
All right, DJ, this weapon is heavy. Look at that balance point, so far forward. Keeping that tip up is brutal. You've got a really, really super stout edge, and honestly, it held up quite well. There's some rolls here where it connected, but the weapon's still solid. It's a strong blade.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, your blades are still in one piece. Now let's see if they still have an edge. To test that edge, I'll be cutting through this cane. Todd, you're up. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hear that?
It sings.
It's like a tuning fork. All right, Todd, so let's talk about your singing sword here. You definitely have a sharp edge here. Sharp sword, made good cuts. Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, DJ, you ready?
Are you ready? That's a big one.
I'm ready. I can run my finger along that edge. On the first cut, as soon as I hit the dull part, it just starts pushing stuff over. Did a good job putting it together, but it's just not sharp enough to cut.
Todd, DJ, you've both done an incredible amount of work to bring these massive swords back for our final round of competition. But there can only be one Forged in Fire champion, and that champion is... Todd, congratulations. You are the new Forged in Fire champion. DJ, unfortunately, your sword didn't make the cut. Please surrender your blade.
My biggest regret is I should have spent more time on the edge. I did my best, and I didn't want to build something that was going to snap, and I definitely did that.
Todd, congratulations. You are the new Forged in Fire champion, and that is a title that comes with a check of $10,000. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Please present your blade to the judges.
I'm a little surprised. You know, it's still like a surreal kind of thing. I've proven what I've come to prove, that I'm capable, that I'm still skilled, and I'm thrilled that I was up to the challenge. I feel so good I don't know how to feel.
The Messer. And by knife.
It's gonna be a challenge.
The Messer, which translates to knife in German, was an imposing 15th century sword classification. These weapons ranged in size from single-handed thrusting knives that were ideal for stabbing to two-handed killers designed to brutally slash and destroy enemies with a single blow. Its most distinguishing characteristic is its long hilt, often secured with rivets. That was not only aesthetic, but protected the hand and knuckles from attacks. Extremely versatile, the blade's thick, slightly curved profile and large clip point were popular with both soldiers on the battlefield and noblemen for hunting game. Complementing the Messer, German hunters also carried a small utility buy knife for skinning and eating after the hunt.
This is the pig carcass slice and dice. I will take your weapon and deliver killing blows on this pig carcass. John, you're up first. You ready for this?
Let's make some bacon, bud. Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right, John, your Messer is sharp. It's a little bit forward heavy, but the weight lends itself to chop the pig in half. Now your buy knife, razor sharp. Those cuts alone, we're cutting deeply with every move, and overall, sir, it will kill.
Oh, yes.
All right, Jeff, your turn. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jeff, your Messer. Beautiful balance. It's not forward heavy. It actually is something I can wield forward, same balance on the recovery when I'm pulling back to cut. Now, your buy knife. The edge is razor sharp with every cut and stab that it does. Overall, sir, your weapons, they will kill.
Thanks, sir.
All right, gentlemen. Now, to test the strength and durability of your blades, I'll be chopping into our log here. Now, remember, this is not about what your messers are going to do to that log, but what that log might do to your messers. And then I'm going to take your buy knives, and we're going to do a tip test by driving that tip of your blade into that log. All right, John, you're up. You ready?
Do your worst.
Okay. All right, John. Well, let's start with your messer. Your edge, still sharp. Blade still straight, true. Your blade's got a lot of weight to it. Your handle is a little confusing when you're swinging this. Having that bead right there, my hand kind of wants to go all the way up to the guard, and having this, the well further back, sort of pushes my hand a little bit back behind where I'd like it to be. As far as your buy knife goes, not a mark on it. Really well done.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Jeff, your turn. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's a chance that my weapon is going to break, and a weapon break is one of the last things that you want to have happen. If there's one thing that I can pick that I wouldn't want them to do, it's to hammer my knife in and then bend it on the tip. So my heart is in my throat.
All right, I'm gonna start with your messer. What I really like about this blade is the way you balanced it. Puts all that weight right back in my hand where I want it. Your knife, it's a really pretty piece. It's very comfortable in the hand, but just a little brittle on the tip. But they are both beautiful pieces. Nicely done.
Thanks, sir.
All right, bladesmiths, the rope slice surprise. Now, unlike the strength test, this is all about what your edge will do to the different materials we have out here. John, you're up first. You ready for this?
Please do, sir.
Let's do this. All right, John, we're going to first go with your buy knife. It's a light knife. It didn't cut all the way through. It started to unravel, and of course, your messer finished that off. On these tubes, this cut cleanly all the way through. Your weapon, sir, will cut.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff, it's your turn. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir. Going into the sharpness test, if my blades don't outperform John's, it's over.
All right, Jeff, first up, your buy knife. Despite the fact that just the tip broke off, the edge is razor sharp. With one cut, it cut cleanly through the rope. Your messer, once again, the balance just feels so good in the hand. It's such an easy weapon to wield and slice. Overall, sir, your weapons will cut.
Thank you, sir.
Bladesmiths, the judge's deliberation is complete. They've made their final decision. Our new Forged and Fire champion is Jeff. Congratulations. You're the new Forged and Fire champion. John, unfortunately, your blades did not make the cut. Please surrender your blades.
Somebody has to win, and I wish it could have been me, but I honestly feel the judges made the right decision. Jeff's messer was a work of art, and he deserved to win.
Jeff, congratulations. You're the new Forged and Fire champion, and that's the title that comes with a check for $10,000. How do you feel right now?
Validated?
Sir, please present your blades to the judges.
I'm happy. I can't even describe my emotions right now. Forged and Fire champion, baby, bringing it back to Kentucky. Hell yeah. Yes.
The Boar Sword. Specifically designed for the hunt, the Boar Sword originated from 16th century Germany. Featuring a long reinforced blade with a spear-like head, this weapon was built to both thrust and withstand the power of a charging boar. The weapon also contained a crosspiece built into the blade that functioned as a guard to stop the animal from sliding down the weapon and injuring the user. Given its highly specific nature, boar swords were never used extensively by the public or by militaries, but were the favorite hunting weapon of the founder of the Landsknecht mercenaries and patriarch of the Habsburg dynasty, 16th century Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian.
All right, bladesmiths, to test the lethality of your boar swords, I will deliver thrusts and cuts on this boar carcass. John, you're first. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
Good luck.
Thanks, man. I can't wait to see what my sword does to that boar. I want to see whether or not it will kill.
All right, John. First up, I like the balance. I like that I can put two hands in it. It's void enough to where I can hold on and I can tell where the edge is. And when we're pushing and thrusting as it's meant to be, the tip is sharp enough to thrust all the way through. Your edges, as you can see, are sharp enough to cut pieces out of this boar carcass. Overall, sir, it'll kill.
Thanks, sir. Congrats. Thanks, man.
All right, Isaac, your turn. Are you ready for this?
Let's make some bacon.
All right, Isaac. First up, it's much lighter. So it's easier to control when you're moving with the blade. And as you can see, when I was thrusting in there, the point you have here, the edges are very sharp. It thrusts all the way in. And even when it hits bone, it's got a very good flex to it. Did not pick up a bend. Overall, sir, your boar sword will make bacon and kill.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, it's time for the strength test, the sheet metal stab. Now, to test the strength and overall construction of your blades, I'll be stabbing into the sheet metal. But this test is not about what your blades do to that target. It's about what that target does to your blades. Jonathan, you're here first. You ready?
Absolutely.
All right, Jonathan, your blade is still sharp pretty much all the way to the tip. Now, the tip did get flattened a little bit, but that was a very, very acute tip that you had on there. All in all, it's a comfortable weapon. It's certainly held up beautifully. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, Isaac, you ready for this?
As ready as I'm gonna be. There's definitely a significant bend.
All right, there's a good flex in your blade, which we saw in an earlier test. But when you quenched this blade, I'm assuming right in here somewhere was where that quench stopped. So this is not really solid right here. You did lose your tip up here, but your edges held up. It's still sharp, but you can just see there's an obvious issue with that bend there.
All right, bladesmiths, this is the sharpness test. To find out if there's any sharpness left on your tip and edges, I will take your weapon and stab and slash at this deer hide. Now, unlike the strength test, this is all about what your blade will do to this deer hide. John, you're first. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right, John. Looking at the tip here, I can see where it flattened out. It took a little bit of effort to be able to puncture through, but it did. Your edges are still sharp. The cuts are clean. Overall, sir, you'll have a cut.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Isaac, your turn, sir. You ready?
I am.
I straightened it.
Oh, did you?
The damage to your tip on the strength test really took it out. There is no tip to this anymore. I can put my finger on that. But the edge of your blade on both sides, as you can see, cut all the way through. Now, the interesting thing to note is that all that bending actually straightened your blade. Overall, sir, beautiful cut.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, the judges have deliberated right here on the forge floor. They've made their final decision. Isaac, your blade didn't make the cut. Your blade took a bend in the strength test. And for that reason, I have to ask you to please leave the forge. Well, Jonathan, it would appear that warrior ethos runs deep in you because not only are you an active duty Marine, you are also the Forged in Fire champion. That's a title that comes with a check for $10,000. Congratulations.
Being Forged in Fire champion, it feels great.
Good job, brother.
It's a boost of confidence. It's not the big things that really matter. It's the little things, the attention to detail that make a big difference.
The Dussage.
Yes.
Dating back to the 16th century, the Dussage began as a military sidearm for German troops. Mimicking the blade of a saber, combined with the hilt of a broadsword, its curved design delivered deadly hacks and slices, while its basket hilt provided protection in close-quarters combat. Featuring a wide single-edged blade, its double-sided fuller kept it light for quick maneuvering. Similar to the cutlass, this sword was favored by pirates and naval officers because they were easy to conceal and quick to draw. This intimidating sword can be seen in the 2016 TV series Black Sails.
All right, bladesmiths, welcome to the kill test. To find out what kind of lethal damage your weapon will do, I'll take your weapon, deliver some slashes and thrusts on this big carcass. Scott, you're up first. You ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do this. All right, Scott. First up, it is light. The balance really allows for velocity and recovery with this blade. And most importantly, it will kill. Yeah. All right, Mark, your turn. So you ready?
Heck yeah.
Let's do this.
He's just hanging there like chewing gum.
All right, Mark, let's talk about your blade here. It's beautiful in its creation. The edge is sharp. I was quite amazed with the cuts. I was surprised that it cut that deeply. The one thing, though, is that that guard right there rubs on my knuckle. Not bad, but it does rub on the knuckle. Despite that, it will kill. Yes.
Whew. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the strength test, the whiskey barrel chop.
Yeah.
Now, to test the strength and overall construction of your swords, I will be swinging into these whiskey barrels. So, Scott, you're up first. You ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
All right. First off, Scott, this thing is still a razor blade on its entire length, except for right there. You did take a bit of a roll there and a very small chip, but beautiful craftsmanship, super light, fast blade, and very strong. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Mark, you're up next. You ready for this?
Smash them.
Okay.
Here she goes.
All right, Mark, got an edge all the way across this thing.
Yes.
You didn't lose a bit. The only issue I have with this weapon at all, as Doug said, my knuckle rides right there on the inside of the guard. It's not chewing my hand up, but there is contact right there where I don't necessarily want it. It's a beautiful weapon. It's strong. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, bladesmiths, this is the sharpest test, the 4-pillar slice. These pillars are wrapped in different materials: foam, leather, canvas, and silk. Scott, you're first. Ready for this?
Yo, yeah.
All right, Scott, let's talk about your weapon here. It is light. Every cut, it cuts nicely. Overall, sir, it will cut.
Thank you.
All right, Mark, onto your shiny sword. You ready for this?
Slice and dice.
All right, Mark, let's talk about your blade here. That's a cutter right there. You can feel the weight and the power with your slashes with this. On the leather, it did cut. It's just because the thicker kind of blade that you have here, it cut all the way through. But overall, sir, it'll cut.
Nice.
Mark, Scott, both of you guys turned in incredibly competitive blades. However, the judges have completed their deliberation. They've made their final decision. Our new Forged in Fire champion is Scott. Congratulations. Mark, unfortunately, the judges have decided that your blade doesn't make the cut. Please surrender your blade.
That was a fine piece, man.
Going home because my guard was rubbing the judge's knuckles just a slight bit. That little teeny tiny detail, you live and you learn.
Well, Scott, in one of our tightest competitions to date, you've become the Forged in Fire champion, and that's a title that comes with a check for $10,000. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I won, baby. Yes. This ranks up there with getting married, having children. Oh, yeah, I'm a Forged in Fire champion too, by the way. What's next for me? Get my 10 grand in one so I can roll around in it. You know, normal stuff, you know, what normal champions do.